Okay, so a forest ranger came up to my camp and told me I was too close to trail, basically, and like wrote something on my permit, and I guess like kind of wrote me up without giving me a fine, which like thank God for that. But I moved camp because I guess, and I think I found this a little confusing because like in my head, the most important thing for finding a camp spot is that it is an established campsite, and like farther away from water, not right next to water. But I didn't realize there were regulations for how close it was to trail, particularly because just about all of the established campsites are next to the trail. But I guess in the Inyo National Forest and in a lot of these places, you need to be at least 200 feet from the trail, which is a little confusing because if you walk 200 feet away from the trail in a random direction, you're probably not going to find any established campsites because not enough people walk that far away from the trail. Like, I'm not sure if that makes sense, but most of the time, the established campsites are right next to the trail. Like, you can find stuff that is durable, like land to camp on, but it's not exactly an established site. But anyway, I moved, and I guess I'll need to be more careful about that in the future. Also, like, when we were south of the Sierras, there's much less regulation. So that was a whoopsie, but now I know, I guess, and at least I avoided a fine. But maybe next time I wouldn't be so lucky. So I'll be more careful about that. It's 6:30. I'm on the trail a little later of a wake up than usual. And of course, when I get back to trail from my 200-foot campsite, the first thing I see is someone camped in the exact campsite that I was set up in. So it's not like I mean, I get why the ranger had me move, but it's not like that made any environmental difference because someone was set up exactly in the same spot. Going up Donahue Pass, which I want to believe is right there in that saddle, although it could also be up here. I'm not really sure. Alright, I'm at Donahue Pass, and so I'm officially in Yosemite, I guess. Also, the state of my shoes. This one's ripped open there, which, like, the mesh is always the first thing to go in these, but the annoying thing is that this part went too. Makes it more unstable, and the other one has got a bit of that going on too. So I'm gonna try to, when I get to the Tuolumne Meadows store, which I should be there for lunch or around the afternoon, I'm gonna try to get some duct tape and do my worst. And literally, it's like 7:30. Or 7:45. That was the first like 2.5 miles of the day, and the entire rest of the day is downhill and then totally flat, which is kind of crazy. I think like it'll be nice. Yesterday was a pretty easy day, and so today will be a pretty easy day too, although it might be boring. I don't know. But yeah, the next few miles are like straight downhill, and then you get to kind of the meadows area, and it's just flat for like 10-15 miles. But yeah, again, just doing a flat 20 today, or it's like a 21, I think, but gonna resupply, which will not be a full resupply. It'll kind of be whatever odds and ends I need at the Tuolumne Meadows store, and maybe hang out there for a bit too. I don't know. use the charging, maybe get something from the grill. We'll see. I'm not planning on going into Yosemite National Park like proper, because some people will do side trips down to Yosemite Valley to kind of check out the touristy things, or like the popular hikes and stuff like that. But I have already been to Yosemite, and also what I hear from a lot of thru hikers who do that is that it's just like overwhelming. Like, it's swarmed with folks visiting, and like it doesn't sound all that fun to me. While I would love to explore Yosemite some more, I feel like mid-thru hike is probably not in the plans for me. Plus, like, most of the people who really want to do that aren't from the US anyway, or if they are, they're unlikely to get back out here. You can see the meadow walking is pretty, although honestly the flatness is kind of boring. It's not bad, and I'm sure I'll be happy once I'm at Tuolumne Meadows at a decent hour, or at the store, I should say. But I don't know. Yeah, kind of bored, kind of just trying to get through it. I just had a funny conversation with some day hikers where they asked me, I was passing by them, and they asked me if I was almost done with my hike, because we were almost to Tuolumne. And it was just, it's always funny being like, well, not quite. I've got a few more miles to go. But makes sense. I'm sure there's a ton of people like weekend backpacking here who start or finish at Tuolumne, but less than a mile until I can get a burger. Alright, got to the store, did lunch, had a burger, did my resupply, unfortunately. They didn't have any like normal ramen. They just had fancy ramen that was like 200 calories and like $4. So looks like my dinner's, or for dinner I'm gonna have the wraps that I've been doing for lunch, and for lunch I'll have PB&J. And I got duct tape. My shoes, like, they felt more or less structurally intact, even sans duct tape, but a little more loose, a little less support than I would like. And I figure even if this duct tape only lasts a couple days, it's got to count for something keeping them together, I think. So yeah, and now plan is to go 6 more miles to Glen Allen campground, but we'll see. Trail is like like 10 times the width, and gravel. I love national parks. Also, I'm so glad that I didn't go into the valley, because even just at the Tuolumne Meadows general store, there are already so many people and cars. So many. I definitely can see how going into the valley would be crazy overwhelming, because even that was a lot. It's so funny. This is such a buttery trail. Yeah, I'm just gonna rock out the last 6 miles. Should be pretty easy if it stays like this, even if it doesn't. Also, while I was at the general store eating, I met this guy named Lightning, who is, doing the John Muir Trail right now, and about to finish. But he is planning on doing something similar to what I did, of doing the AT, like after / maybe before graduating high school, which I just thought was super cool. Most of the people, I don't know, trying to either like graduate early or skip a semester, and through hike the AT while still in high school, which I just think is so sick, and is also cool because it's like
I graduated high school a semester early to through hike the AT before college, and I don't hear about that very much, which makes sense that it would be kind of a rarity. Like most people, the earliest I hear is like graduating high school at a normal time and then doing a gap year for the AT. So anyway, it was just like super sick to like meet someone who was kind of like a younger version of myself, like planning such a thing. So it was cool to talk with him. And yeah, I got a double cheeseburger, and then these guys rolled up in a car, hopped out, put 3 paper plates piled high with grilled cheeses on the table in front of a few thru hikers and said, have at it. So I had one of those too. Yeah. That is so funny. I just finally passed a group of, I think, scouts, but a group of like a lot of 8 to 10-year-old boys, like at least 15 or so, and then a few like adults leading them, and just I don't know, like everyone was fine, but the shenanigans, the hysterics were so funny. We're like a quarter mile to camp, like max, and one kid's like just like plops down and like lays down on the ground and is like groaning, and like nothing happened. He's just like, I don't want to walk. And it's like, it was just so funny, and I was trying to be like, trust, I'm not one of your leaders, but I do promise you're close.